let's move on. Let's head over to the LA Bowl, where a really, really good matchup. One of my favorite matchups of these set of bowl games that we're covering in this episode. UNLV and Cal. This line's it's a 1 point spread. That's how you know, like, this is solid. Mendoza is in the portal, right? You Cal fans, your team has been elevated, I think, this year by Fernando Mendoza at that quarterback position because there has been an inability to run the ball at times, which is funny because you have two pretty good running backs, I think. Um, you also got your best receiver in the portal. On the UNLV side, this is a team that just lost their coach, Barry Odom, over to Purdue. Now I don't know that their transfer portal losses, and you can touch on this a little bit more. I don't know that their transfer portal losses are as devastating as some of the top tier guys on this Cal football team, but I think these are two teams that played good enough football to have a better record than they have right now. I think. I think Cal could have definitely won a couple more games that were some close losses. You look back at the Florida State game, the Miami game; those are games that they should have won.
Pitt,
Look at
North Carolina
UNLV.
State. Ugh.
Yeah, Pitt, North Carolina State. You look at UNLV; they probably should have won that Syracuse game, right? Uh, so their only two losses of the year probably should be just that those losses to Boise State. So I think these are good teams. I had a tough time picking this game, but I am gonna ride with Cal here. Uh, and here's why: I just think that they're more talented. I do, and I think Cal also. I don't know that like. I think UNLV last year in that bowl game. I think that was a really tough matchup for them because that Kansas team was really good that they got matched up with that in that bowl game, the one that they got killed in, and that secondary was maybe a little bit worse than it was this year. I think this UNLV team is better this year than they were last year for sure, and I don't think that that's a crazy. Now, if they had Jaden Mayava, maybe the ceiling of this team could have been reached. But I think for on Cal's side, right, I think they are going to try to run the football. I know that they haven't been able to do it effectively, but I also believe in these other quarterbacks. Like I believe in Chandler Rogers, right? And if he doesn't play, I don't hate CJ Harris either, right? Like that's a guy that has played meaningful football in the MAC. Has he been great? All right. No. Okay. But I do think that having some elevated talent around him, I think he has enough experience to where like he could come into this football game and maybe manage it, right? I also just I like the coaching. If Barry Odom's not there, I like uh I like Cal's coaching staff. I really do.
Yeah, and they're also getting, a new offensive coordinator in there. Brian Harson's coming over, back to the West Coast, maybe where he more comfortable, more familiar. Be interesting to see what happens there in 2025 and beyond for this Cal team. Listen, I am pretty concerned about the Cal losses there, right? So you mentioned Mendoza, right? Especially if Rogers is hurt. I don't love CJ Harris, obviously, for a third string quarterback. He's a lot more experience than maybe a lot of teams that you do get in these bowl games. So I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. But you also talk about, is Kato Olave hurt? Is he going to play in this game? I'm still concerned about that. Isaiah Hunter, right, one of the better receivers on this Cal team. He's in the portal. That's a big loss. I know you have depth there, and you've kind of been banged up in that spot, and you brought in a ton of talent in the portal last year. But that's a guy that I think is a pretty good difference maker for you. I was very impressed with UNLV and like not entering the portal and not seeing this mass access to players in the portal after Barry Odom left. I think that speaks a lot to the culture and the buy-in right now for UNLV. I'll go UNLV because I do think they'll be able to stop the run. Obviously, didn't work great last week against Ashton Genty, but who has stopped Ashton Genty? So it's not really, a knock, I don't think, on UNLV. I think they still have an explosive offense. I assume the offensive coordinator is still going to be calling plays. I know he's looking for other jobs right now, but I still feel pretty good about that. There's a lot of veterans on this team, even if that's not the case, and they'll be able to ride it out. Hodge Williams is the best quarterback in this game. That's going to be suited up, I think, by far. That's going to make a difference in the spot here. Give me UNLV. Also, by the way, even though it's in California, right, but Vegas
It's
to
closer
to LA
to
is
Vegas. Yeah.
it's not it's very quick, and you got to drive all the way up from Berkeley or down from Berkeley, I guess, for our Cal Bears. But yeah, I like UNLV in the spot here.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
Short dogs.
I'll say with the transfer portal non-mass exits they're talking to about UNLV, does that maybe mean that these players like their hire?
Dan Mullen.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely intriguing. It's very interesting. We talked about him, I feel like for a while now. When is he going to step his toe back into football? Um, what he did with
thought it might
Florida.
be at like a big name offensive coordinator position,
Yeah,
but
you saw Chip Kelly, obviously Gus Malzahn. Like you kind of think of those guys in similar spots in terms of not loving the grind of recruiting, but I also think we're in a much better spot here. Dan Mullen's been able to sit on the other side and learn a lot of things, and I think he'll have a fun time at UNLV. We'll obviously get very much more in depth to it there, so it'd be very interesting. But I think there's a lot of momentum right now in this UNLV program, even after losing Barry Odom. Um, I think they'll get this win here and continue that moving forward.
well, let me ask this: what's stopping you? And maybe this is a spoiler, but what's stopping you from putting UNLV on your best bets?
The talent gap potentially, like from
Yeah,
all 22 guys there. So like it does
yeah,
worry me that if Cal can just line up, and yes, they couldn't run the ball, in the ACC there, but if they can just run up and line up and just run the football with Ott and the other guys there, it would concern me, right? And also if Chandler Rogers is playing too, I would feel a lot less concerned about this Cal offense.
right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, that's
Now,
kind of where I'm at.
UNLV's played an ACC team this year. They played a 9-3 ACC team this year and took them down to the wire. Probably should have won that game if
Couldn't stop the
Woodyard
run though.
if Woodyard can catch an interception and pass interference calls and what have you. Like
They did struggle though defensively a little bit. I mean, LaQuint
they
Allen's a
did.
good,
They
very
gave,
good football player.
and that's a Syracuse team that wasn't really able to run the ball all year, and they ran the ball on
Yeah,
UNLV. And Ashton Genty just ran for 200 yards. I mean, but as Ashton
I
Genty,
think
so
part of it was they were not gonna get beat by Common Core, and which is a crazy statement by the way. In 2024, that's how crazy. That's awesome he's been for Syracuse. So I don't know. We'll see. But I do think maybe there's going to be a size differential, right? A little bit. There's going to be different talent differentials and physicality, whatever. But I don't know. I think it'd be very interesting.
it's not too late to make a free $50. That's right. You got to do two things. One, you got to subscribe to the Redshirt Sophomore podcast. That's all you got to do. And then the second step to that is you're going to go into the link in the description and join the college football bowl pool pick'em that we're putting on. Yep, that's right. Introducing the Redshirt Sophomore college football bowl pool pick'em. You're going to go in that link. You're going to find all the bowl games, and you're going to pick those bowl games, and you're going to sign confidence points. How confident are you that that team is going to win that bowl game? And there's a lot of points to sign, and it's never too late to join. That's the thing. You would think, oh man, the first bowl game already passed, South Alabama, Western Michigan. It's not too late. Okay, you only would lose 1 point. Okay, and generally, out of the 400 some points that you can earn, uh, you're not even going to come close to making all those points. So it really, 1 point is not the biggest difference in the world. So make sure though that you are subscribed to the Redshirt Sophomore to qualify for this prize. And good luck to you all.